I really feel that this is a terrible tax that's going to be placed upon the citizens of the United States.
This really, at its core, needs to be an opportunity to make sure that other countries are treating the United States fairly. The United States...
Well, guys, we knew that this day was going to come, and it is finally happening. Republicans passed this big, despicable bill that's going to knock millions of people off of their Medicaid, millions of people off of their food assistance. It's going to be the largest transfer of wealth from the bottom to the top. And now these people have to go back home to face their constituents. So after going on vacation a week early in an effort to avoid a vote for releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files, we now have Republican congresspeople traveling back to their districts, taking an absolute shellacking at their very own town halls. And the funny part about it is that Republican leadership was warning against this. They said, you guys can't do this. What if people are angry with us? What if there are these viral clips that make us look bad? And they had every right to be concerned, because that is exactly what we are seeing. So I want to go ahead and take a look at one of these town halls. We're going to look at Bryan Steil, or Steil from Wisconsin, who won his district with about 54% of the vote. About 300 people showed up to his town hall, and I think this was the first time that he has seen his constituents since the passing of the big despicable bill. And I want to go ahead and start off with this clip because I thought it was very interesting what his constituents decided to emphasize during the Pledge of Allegiance. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe. So I'm not sure if you guys were able to make it out there, but what they were emphasizing was justice for all, which is so, so important in this moment. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, which just is completely poignant in this moment, especially when we have a Trump administration that is not trying to serve liberty and justice for all. He's trying to serve liberty and justice for the rich and well-connected, while targeting other minority groups in our country. And now you've got Republicans going around online trying to say that, oh, this was just a bunch of crazy lefties shouting down the Pledge of Allegiance, when that couldn't be further from the truth. But let's go ahead and start off with this first clip of a constituent, because I think it ties in pretty nicely. Here she is asking about why ICE is rolling around into communities with masks and not identifying themselves.
Why are they wearing masks and why are they unidentified?
We'll probably agree to disagree on some of my answer here, but what I view is the moral hazard created by the Biden administration by allowing the U.S.-Mexico border to remain unsecure. And so it's completely fine that we disagree. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing on the topic. President Biden had a different view than I did on the importance of securing the U.S.-Mexico border. But as millions of illegal immigrants came into the United States and there was a lack of action by the federal government, you're now seeing that action take place with the removal particularly of individuals who are in the country illegally.
How is that an answer to the question? It was very simple. Why do we have an ICE agency that is rolling into communities, masks up? Why aren't they identifying themselves? Why aren't they providing the proper paperwork when they're making these arrests? And your answer is, oh, well, it was the Biden administration who let a whole bunch of these people in, so we're going to just have to disagree. That is not an answer to the question. Just because we have undocumented immigrants here who we want to get out of the country as policy by this administration doesn't mean that we should have secret police rolling into communities, grabbing people off the streets without any due process at all. And then on top of that, they're masked up, they're unidentifiable. I mean, this should not be going down in the United States. So, I mean, he just leaves a lot to be desired with his answer there. It makes absolutely no sense that we have these Gestapo-like agencies rolling around and not identifying themselves. They do this because they know they're actually breaking the law. Here's another constituent saying that he is so disappointed that Bryan Steil or whatever his name is just 100% controlled by Trump.
I am so disappointed. I am so disappointed in how you represent us as the citizens of Walworth County. Southeast Wisconsin has not been represented by you. President Trump seems to run Southeast Wisconsin through you. And all I have to ask is I will be out there working hard if you choose to run for any office.
Yeah, this guy's exactly right. What have we seen Republicans do ever since Donald Trump came back into office? They've completely rolled over and allowed him to do whatever he wants to do. Congress is supposed to be a check on the executive. But because this is an authoritarian cult of personality that the Republican Party has turned into, they just jump into line and do whatever Donald Trump says. So this guy is absolutely right to call that out. We elected you to represent our community. And now you're letting Donald Trump rule the roost without any pushback at all. So basically, we've got Donald Trump who is running this community, even though you were the one elected. And I think it's such a great point to make because we keep on hearing this myth that Donald Trump won in an overwhelming landslide and that he should be able to do whatever he wants to do. But most people forget. We vote in our representatives as well. We vote in our Senate members. We vote in our House of Representatives. They are there to represent the will of the people as well. It's not an authoritarian dictatorship. Is not how our system was constructed. So it's just a complete fundamental misunderstanding of how the system actually works. And I think that this constituent is absolutely right to call that shit out. Let's go to move on to this guy who is concerned about tariffs.
I was always under the impression that Congress was responsible for issuing the tariff. I really feel that this is a terrible tax that's going to be placed upon the citizens of the United States.
This really, at its core, needs to be an opportunity to make sure that other countries are treating the United States fairly. The United States... I'm not looking. I want to be able to get through as many of your questions as we can.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will never get questions if we can't keep the auditorium quiet.
I just love how smug these Republicans are. They just don't, when they show up to these town halls, it doesn't feel like they're actually listening. They just want to preach to their constituents, even though he called this thing a listening session. He should be there listening to the concerns of his constituents. And so when somebody brings up tariffs, you shouldn't be clapping back with, oh, well, we need to get the rest of the world treating America great, because that is not even attached to reality in the slightest. Like we've talked about many, many times before, America is at the top of the hegemon, the global order, and we have benefited so greatly from that, and Donald Trump is kind of tearing all of it down. And to be concerned about tariffs, again, he is exactly right. As we have discussed many, many times before on this channel, tariffs are not paid by the country. The tariffs are paid by the business or the individual that is actually importing the goods. And then what do most businesses do? They take the cost of those tariffs and they pass it on to the consumer. So to call this a tax for the American consumer is exactly right. This is going to make our goods and services more expensive because now we have to factor in the cost of these tariffs at every single transaction with all of these different goods. So exactly right, again, for this constituent to be pointing that out. Here's another guy who's very concerned about the starving people in Gaza.
I'm of the view that Israel has the right to defend itself, and the easy and simplest way to end this horrific war is for Hamas to surrender and release their hostages. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Doesn't mean that everyone fully agreed with me. I know there's a lot of people that did agree with me. I thank you down here, folks in the back as well.
How is that your answer? The guy is asking about the starving 2 million people in Gaza. And your response is, well, Israel has a right to defend itself. And the fastest way for this conflict to end is for Hamas to lie down their weapons and surrender. That is not an answer to the question. While I do agree with everything that he said there, Israel does have a right to defend themselves. It would be much easier and the bloodshed could stop if Hamas were to lay down their weapons. But now we are the country with an ally who is like drip feeding all of this humanitarian aid into Gaza. We are seeing a mass starving event. So to answer the question like that is it's just not in touch with reality. People are very rightly concerned about what is going on over in Gaza right now. And we, as America, as one of the biggest leaders in the world, should be able to do something about what is going on in Gaza. And this comes back to the Congress being subservient to Donald Trump. I mean, they should have some power here to write some laws, approve some aid, whatever it may be. We should be able to help this situation. And instead, he just wants to go on his talking point platitudes about Israel having a right to defend itself and Hamas needs to lay down their weapons. Absolutely horrendous answer. Terrible, terrible. Let's go to move on to this lady who really just kind of sums up the entire town hall with, I think, what a lot of people there were actually thinking.
I don't think you're the right fit for us anymore. I just think it's time to go. You just don't relate to most of us anymore, and you got to know when to step down. I think it's time.
I love it when people are bold and courageous enough to go to these town halls and tell their representative exactly how they feel. And that's what I feel like this person did here. You just don't represent us anymore, bro. You are not the right guy for this community anymore. Get out. We don't like what we see in Washington, D.C. right now, and you are a part of that. I absolutely love that. These Republicans, every single one of them, need to be voted out of office. They do not know how to govern. They are not pushing back against the executive like our system was meant for them to do, and instead, they've rolled over and allowed Donald Trump to do whatever the hell that he wants. And what's even worse is they defend all of this authoritarian nonsense that we are seeing out of this administration. It is so damn grotesque. And don't forget, or don't worry, I should say, there were people there who were also concerned about Epstein.
Are you going to protect our children and demand that all of Epstein's files are released after each victim has been contacted and their confidentiality is protected as they wish? That needs to be asked of him.
Do you support releasing the Epstein files?
Yeah, I think transparency is the best policy. I think all legally permissible documents should be released.
I just really don't like the way that they say this. You notice that word he puts in there. Permissible. Any permissible, legally permissible documents should be released. This kind of just gives them an out. What we are seeing right now with the Epstein files is a full-blown cover-up. You literally had Mike Johnson shut down the House a week early so they didn't have to take a vote on releasing the Epstein files. Now you've got Donald Trump working with his personal attorney or former personal attorney. They're now going to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell. She's being moved to a cushy prison over in Texas. It is so gross what we are seeing out of this administration. These people, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, they were a part of the largest sex trafficking ring that has ever been prosecuted in this country, I believe. What they did was horrendous. And it looks like Ghislaine is just as, if not more culpable than Jeffrey Epstein. And to think that Donald Trump is considering giving her a pardon, it's just something that I just can't even comprehend. It is so disgusting that it's even on the table. All because Donald Trump has way deeper ties to Jeffrey Epstein, and he doesn't want any of that shit to come out. He doesn't want everybody to know the true extent of just how involved he actually was. So we're definitely going to keep following these town halls. Like I said, Congress is on recess for the month of August, like they normally do. They did leave a week early to avoid that vote. But I think we're going to see a lot more of these. Like I said, you pass the big despicable bill that's going to cut millions of people off their Medicaid, food assistance. I mean, I think we're going to see many of these town halls where voters are rightfully pissed off about what they are seeing with this Republican Party. And now we've got the Republicans trying to rig the midterms in advance by what's going on down in Texas, because they do not want to be held accountable by their own voters. So we will definitely keep an eye on it, guys. We will bring these angry town halls to you every chance we can get, because I, for one, I enjoy watching these town halls. I like seeing these Republican congresspeople getting their comeuppance. These people deserve it. And as I will continue to say, every single one of these assholes need to be voted out of office. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that pushes back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just launders all of this bullshit for the Republican Party day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please remember to smash that subscribe button. Of course, that is free. And if you want to go a step above and beyond, we have launched a Substack over at politiscape.substack.com if you want to join the team and help me produce these videos. And if you don't want to jump off to a new platform, we have opened up memberships right here on YouTube, and you can subscribe for as little as $3 a month. Like I said, guys, fighting back against this MAGA media machine, it has got to be a team effort. I'll see you on the next one.